You know, there are football legends, and then there are true forces of nature. Today, we're going to talk about a player who had the power of a god, but the pain of a mortal. This isn't just about spectacular goals, it's about the silent battle of the man they called the Emperor, Adriano. And let me tell you, that wasn't just some cool nickname. It was a statement. On the football pitch, he was an absolute ruler, a figure of such raw power that he commanded respect and, honestly, a lot of fear. This was the myth the world came to know. His main weapon? A left foot that, well, cannon is probably the only word for it. Powerful doesn't even begin to do it justice. It was violent. Goalkeepers weren't just trying to make a save, they were bracing for impact. And that cannon was attached to a body that was built like an absolute tank. It was just an unfair combination of explosive speed and pure brute strength. I mean, seasoned defenders wouldn't just tackle him, they would literally bounce right off him. He was less of a player and more of a phenomenon. So you put all that together on the biggest stage at Inter Milan, and the effect was just seismic. This wasn't just a new striker joining a team. No, it felt like a monster had been unleashed on the entire sport. So, how did this force of nature actually become the Emperor? Let's take a look at the absolute peak of his power, the moments he truly earned that legendary title. Over at Inter Milan, the Italians gave him his name, L'Imperatore. And this wasn't just media hype, it was a reflection of reality. He was scoring impossible goals, just dominating the best defenders in the world. And the feeling was universal. He wasn't just going to be a star. He was the inevitable king of football. But a force like that isn't just born, it's forged. To really understand the Emperor, we have to go back to the streets that created the man, the favelas of Rio. This is where he was made. Growing up in Vila Cruzeiro, one of Rio's toughest neighborhoods, the streets were his academy. And football was so much more than a game, it was a desperate escape. Every single powerful shot was fueled by the anger of his circumstances, and every goal, that was a little glimmer of hope for a different kind of future. So he had the power, he had the hunger, and he had the skill. He was on a trajectory to become one of the all-time greats. And then, in a single moment, the entire story just shifted. I mean, just look at this scent. He arrives in Italy as this raw talent, then he absolutely explodes into a superstar. In 2004, he even wins a major trophy for his country. He's on top of the world. But then, that August, the foundation of his entire world just collapses. His father, his biggest supporter, passes away. And this right here is the crucial point. It wasn't some gradual decline. It was a fracture. The source of his strength, the man who kept him grounded, was gone. And inside the Emperor, something just completely shattered. What happened next was a very public downfall. But the real story, the important one, was the private war he was fighting, a battle that was completely invisible to the fans and to the media. And here you see the tragic disconnect. What the world saw was the stuff on the left, the partying, the missed training sessions. The story was simple. He's a lazy player who just doesn't care. But the reality was what you see on the right. A young man drowning in grief, using anything he could to escape a pain that felt absolutely unbearable. And you can see the spiral right here. The escape into partying led to a drop in performance. That decline led to public criticism. And all that criticism, combined with his unreliability, meant that the biggest clubs in the world just lost faith. His career was completely unraveling. So, the most important thing to get is this. Adriano didn't lose his talent. His left foot was still a cannon. His body was still a tank. But he was fighting an opponent he couldn't beat. His battle wasn't on the pitch anymore. It was against his own sorrow. This really leads us to a much bigger question. It is so easy to look at this whole story as just a personal failure. But maybe we need to reframe it. Maybe the system itself played a huge part. You know, we tend to define opponents by the jersey they're wearing. But for so many athletes, and for Adriano especially, the fiercest opponent is the one you can't see. It's the one inside their own head. And his were relentless. He wasn't just dealing with the loss of his father. He was fighting this profound loneliness that comes with being a superstar in a foreign country with no real support system. And ultimately, he was fighting against his own self-destructive impulses. And this is the real question at the heart of his story. Do we judge him for not being able to cope, Or do we question a multi-billion-dollar industry that saw a man so clearly in crisis and offered him nothing but criticism instead of help? And that's the real takeaway here. We celebrate these players as gods, as emperors, as legends. But beneath the jersey, they are just people. They're dealing with the same pain and fragility as any one of us. It's the question everyone always asks about him. Did he throw it all away? Did he just lose what was rightfully his? The answer is yes. He lost it. But he didn't lose it to a better player or a stronger team. He lost it to a human vulnerability that the sport just wasn't equipped to handle. His story isn't just a warning. It's a deeply human tragedy.